I finished at the island last night, so let's resume my pro run on RE4 Remake to get that hand cannon. Wait a minute, what's this? Mercenaries DLC? Unlock the hand cannon by getting S ranks in Mercenaries mode, which is really easy? I've done it the hard way for nothing!
That one bullshit PlayStation trophy.
Beating professional difficulty on a new game save without the use of bonus weapons in order to unlock the hand cannon, which was the final weapon I needed for the gunsmith trophy in Resident Evil 4 Remake, was simultaneously the best and worst parts about the Platinum journey. For this playthrough was equal parts frustrating,
Okay, now we're getting into territory where we don't want to be. Look at that bullshit, man. Look at that bullshit. Fucking arsehole.
the playthrough was also terrifying.
Oh shit, mate. Jesus.
Does that make you joke?
It's just staring at his ass. It just that's an explosion happening.
Pro mode was super tense and nerve-wracking.
Oh my.
It was even cool at times when it wasn't bullshitting me over.
Oh, it was fucking there! It was fucking there! You fucking bullshit, man! It was fucking there! I saw it! It was there! It was all the fucking way up! It was all the...
Professional mode is the hardest difficulty in the game, and aside from the enemies taking more bullets to down, the other hard aspects are a brutally lacking rate of resources and ammo dropped to you, as well as the fact that there are no auto-save checkpoints. This meant that whenever you would die, you'd go back to your most recent typewriter save. However, you can save on those typewriters unlimited times as there are no ink ribbons for you to collect, so with a lot of backtracking to typewriters, this proved to be really useful to make slow progress in clearing out areas. I made 200 saves by the time I beat Pro difficulty. That's because I kept going back every time I killed a couple of enemies to save my progress. In order to make it a bit more easier, I made sure I unlocked the knight armour so Ashley wouldn't get caught or killed, and the chicken hat to reduce the damage I took, because right from the get-go, as soon as you get to the village section, Pro mode difficulty shows you that it's pulling no punches and it's literally going to fuck you over big style at any opportunity it gets. On lower difficulties, this section is hectic, but on Pro, this part is actually terrifying, as you do not have enough pistol ammo to take everyone out, as despite pumping them full of lead, they will just keep on coming at you. Plus, enemies are now stronger and will deal more damage to you, so the last thing you want to do is to be going head to head with them. This section was really scary, especially after running around the area dodging zombies in a hunt for grenades. I then retreated up to the tower, where I then stood at the top of it looking down to shoot any zombie who tried to climb up the ladder. While I didn't always kill them with this method, it did buy me some time, and once a few of them had piled up at the bottom, I threw my grenade down to kill them all. only to then find that the cutscene triggered and my nade had seemingly went through the wall and blew up outside, resulting in it not hurting anyone in that pile of enemies down below. Great start here, game. The bullshit has begun already. Eventually, when trying to hold down that position at the top of the ladder, I ran out of pistol ammo and had to switch to the knife and just frantically stab them to knock them back down. This was really terrifying, and at some point one enemy got up and died at the top, or at least I thought, but then he started to mutate, so now I just had to jump down and fall into the horde below, and somehow I managed to escape the pile of enemies down here, only healing once or twice, and then I just had to run around and get into that shotgun house to grab that gun and use it on the chainsaw guy. But sadly, the chainsaw guy seemed to really like my shotgun bullets, as they barely made a scratch on him. At this point, I was standing on the rooftop, not really knowing what to do. I didn't have much ammo, and I didn't really have much health left to use, so I just decided to make a run for it and jump off the rooftop. And then, as I landed, surrounded by more enemies with a chainsaw guy behind me, the bell rang. This section was over, and I had barely survived it by the skin of my teeth. Wow, what a rush. Never has that village section felt so tough, so horrible, so scary. 13 minutes into pro mode now, and I absolutely love it. Sadly, that happy feeling in pro mode wouldn't stay with me for the duration of this run, as I would drastically swing between hating it and loving it as I played through more and more of the game. You see, the difficulty does start to get massively frustrating when you realise just how much ammo a single normal enemy can take to down, and when they mutate later in the game, you're going to be using even more ammo to just take out one enemy. And as you always know what big battles are lying ahead, it's not always wise for you to try and kill everyone you see, as you may need that ammo later on. One of the annoying things that happened to me a lot in this run was that enemies and crates were just barely dropping any ammo, as it would always usually be money, or worse still, ammo for guns that I didn't even have. I mean, how many times is it going to give me rifle ammo when I don't even have that gun, for fuck's sake? As a result, in some areas, it was far better to just simply speedrun past as many enemies as possible and avoid combat altogether. This water farm area here, where you need to get the boat fuel, was a good example of it, as I just ran past all of the enemies here and only engaged enemies that were directly in front of me, using the shotgun to blast them out of the way of the door so I could get out of the room after grabbing the fuel. Running and avoiding enemies is something you'll need to do a lot in this run, and the good thing about this area in particular was that after progressing further into the game, I could come back here before going to the church, and all the enemies were gone, allowing me to just loot the area freely and hunt for the precious vipers and fish.
Nothing gets your heart pumping like that shit, man. Fuck me.
The village section is definitely one of the toughest parts of the pro run, and it's where I felt the weakest and the most ammo and supplies starved, as the game just puts you up against multiple bosses and big enemy filled areas and set pieces in a row back to back, with very little in the way of resupplies in between them. It was definitely at its most bullshit from this fight with El Gigante, which took most of my ammo and healing supplies, as after that I then had to get to the church and then get out of the church to the evacuation point with Ashley. Then you would go immediately into the log cabin battle, which was another massive fight that uses up a lot of your ammo and resources, as this is a really tough, hectic and crazy battle to try and survive on pro difficulty. Sure, the cabin does contain ammo drops, but it will all be used up on the barrage of enemies that burst into the cabin, never mind the large mallet wielding tank that you also have to try and take down somehow. It's utter madness, and anything can happen.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And while boarding up the windows helps control how many are in the cabin, you'll soon get overwhelmed, and when the big fella is there, you've just got to try and focus on him, but if you get hit by anything, your health just disappears, and you'll soon start to run out of heals. So by the time you do finally manage to take that enemy down, you'll just breathe a sigh of relief, and even if, like me, where you've just barely scraped by and have barely anything left in your inventory, you'll just take it as it is and carry on, because you don't want to try and replay that. So you think that after that last battle at the end of the previous chapter, that this new chapter will start out a little bit easier on you and give you some ammo, but you can see by the time I got to the merchant, while I do have a lot of money, which I'm saving for the rocket launcher, I don't really have much in the way of ammo or healing items at all. Yet the next two areas are filled with enemies, and while you can bypass the ones in the first area pretty easily, the second area is full of enemies that you need to fight in order to get a key item, because you need to kill the Chainsaw Sisters to grab the crank to get out of this area, so I'm forced into combat in that one. Yet there's barely any ammo littered around that area with the sisters. I mean, sure, it might give you 5 to 10 handgun bullets and maybe a couple of shotgun bullets in the RNG drop if you're lucky, but that isn't enough to take out one sister, let alone the other one, and all of the other normal enemies that spawn in this area out to kill you when that fight happens. Pro difficulty, as a result of this, just always feels unfair, like the game's adaptive difficulty is screwing you over every time you do well to make it harder on you. And at this point, fed up with the bad drop rate and feeling like the game was out to get me, I nearly gave up. As I was stuck here for 30 minutes trying to kill these damn Chainsaw Sisters with my last few pistol bullets, and then the knife saving the game whenever I did meaningful damage to them, as, trust me, using the knife led to a lot of deaths and a lot of tedium trying to slowly chip away at their health. I would lure them over to the save area gate, where they'd then sort of weirdly lose interest in me and turn around, which gave me a few free seconds to attack them safely, yet they still took everything I had, and while I got one killed, it wasn't the one with the crank. Of course it wasn't, for fuck's sake. So I still needed to kill the other one in order to escape this area and progress further into the game. The only problem was, I had no ammo, and my last knife, my last weapon, broke when stabbing this one. At this point, I found myself retreating to the save area in between the two areas full of enemies either side of me, with no ammo to go back and deal with either of these groups. Now, other games would actually spawn in a bit of ammo for you at this point, but Resident Evil 4 doesn't. Once you clear an area, that's it, no more ammo, so you are just up shit creek without a paddle basically. I did manage to find a knife that I missed when I was searching around, but thankfully I didn't need it in the end, as when luring the second chainsaw lady over to that save gate, she eventually died by fire, having knocked a lamp over her head.
Oh my days.
So now I could grab the crank and make my escape before the other enemies got me. After 30 minutes of being here, I had gotten past this bit, but not through my own skill, but by pure stubbornness to not start over, and pure dumb luck of some random lamp falling on her head and killing her. Fuck's sake.
You did well back there. Seems this isn't your first time running from creeps.
After that, it was on to the Chief Mendes boss fight, and unfortunately I only had enough bullets to take him on the first phase, but thankfully I'd saved up enough money at that point to buy the rocket launcher, so once I finally got him to his second phase, he went down really easy, and then it was on to the castle, and at this point things were starting to look up a bit more. I managed to upgrade my weapons. I swapped out to a more powerful shotgun and started to upgrade that, as well as the Red 9 pistol, and I slowly but surely made my way through the castle, though I was on very short supply of most things at that stage. And because of that, I foolishly brought the Deluxe Edition DLC, which is why my costume changes at this point, because I wanted to get the extra weapons so I'd have a bit more ammo and some things to sell to get more money if I needed it later on, because I was always panicked I wouldn't be able to afford another RPG for the later sections of the game. So I continued through the castle with my new look, and things came to a crashing halt once I got to the water room, which was always a pain in the original version, and in the remake it was even worse. And I could go on for ages about how much this room sucked, but I think the best way to really convey the awfulness and bullshitness of this room is to just show you how my attempts went as I tried to get through this on pro difficulty.
Oh, it was fucking there! It was fucking there! You fucking bullshit, man! It was fucking there! I saw it! It was there! It was all the fucking way up! It was all the... Oh, yeah, this game. These keep spawning in. Oh, fuck off, man! Fuck off! Fuck off! How am I supposed to hit, how am I supposed to do this? Like, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to fucking do this? Please answer me, game. Look at that. Look at that guy. Look at that guy, man. How many is it gonna spawn, man? I can't even kill them. I can't kill them. Look at this shithole, man. Didn't die. He didn't fucking die. And of course, look at that cunt there! I've got no bullets to get you! Oh, fucking hell, look at this crap. Look at this crap. So what do I do now? What do I do now, brilliant game? What do we do now? No bullets, nothing. No bullets, nothing. No one drops any fucking ammo. No one drops me any fucking bullets. I can't craft nothing. I can't do nothing. I can't hit that person up there now. So this is impossible for me to complete now, isn't it? What an absolute shit difficulty this is. What an absolute dumb mode. Yep, fuck off. Take her away. I don't want to see her again. Awful.
Look away. Look away. I did it. Okay, get back here.
You did it! You said you did it! You said you did it! You said you did it! Why is there not a gap? You said you did it! What the fuck? I'm currently trying to do a new game. I'm professional, and it's absolutely bullshit. There's been multiple times through this run where it has completely shafted me with no bullets, no crafting materials to make bullets, absolutely nothing, and I'm managing to kill enemies with knives until they break, of course, and then I have nothing, and then I'm just left in an area that I can't progress in because there's no bullets anywhere, there's nothing anywhere. This is another prime example of it. Absolute prime example. Absolute bullshit.
And despite thinking professional mode was utter bullshit at this point and wanting to just throw the towel in and give up, I didn't, and I kept at it, and eventually me and Ashley escaped the water room and I finally got on with the rest of the castle. And to my surprise, the few crates that I did smash along the way did give me a fair nice bit of resource and ammo, so I was quite chuffed with that because, well, I was going to need it for this next room with all of these enemies. It has those two blind enemies that have those long Wolverine Vega sort of claws, so this one was a right pain in the ass as well, but I had this strategy of just alerting them so they would come to the bottom of these stairs and then just unloading my remaining grenades and heavy grenades on them to try and take them out as quick as possible. I also purchased the Magnum at this point, so I used it here on the bear Garador who didn't have anything on his back, so I could take him out relatively quickly. Then I just had to deal with the other one, but it was a bit of a pain because this room's kind of bullshit because normal enemies just keep spawning in and they will just always come and attack you, so when you're trying to sneak around and kill the other blind enemy silently, they just give it away, and they were an absolute pain, but eventually I did it.
He's dead. He's fucking dead? Right. Okay. That's fucking brilliant. Do not die. Do not fucking die now.
Shit.
Oh my god, I did it. I fucking did it!
It then went pretty quiet until I got to the mines section of the game with Lewis, because it was here where I got my most brutal and horrifying death. Jesus, that was terrifying. So this section of the mines is another one where you can kind of rush through it. You can just rush through, flashbang the chainsaw lady and hit the switch, and then sort of rush out of there and stand by the stairs where that bridge is building up. You do have to sort of hold off of the enemies that are attacking you, but you can sort of get out of this area a bit quicker. But I ended up killing a lot of the enemies before I escaped with the dynamite, and unfortunately, as I made my escape, I forgot to go down the treasure route on the left there. Well, I looked at it, but I thought I ain't got time for that, so I had to just jump down, and I unfortunately left it, so I didn't get all the treasures there, but still, I did it. Next up was the Krauser fight, and heading into that, I had quite a lot of resources and health items, so I was feeling pretty confident, though it wasn't long before he absolutely just destroyed a load of my knives and basically just made me his bitch for a lot of the fight. So he did drain a lot of my herbs and first aid sprays, but eventually the tide of battle sort of shifted after I kicked him into this corner where he was kind of unable to sort of do anything, and I just wailed on him with my remaining knife.
That'll do. I'll take that. I'll fucking take that. I'll take that in that corner. Fucking him over. I'll take it.
The rest of the castle didn't give me too many problems, to be honest. Even that lift section I got through fairly easily, and I was dreading that. And at this point I had enough spinels from doing all the side quests at the start of the game to buy the exclusive upgrade ticket and use it to power up my Magnum. And at this stage I also had one of the golden eggs because I didn't cash it in for one of the quests, so I could throw it at the Saddler boss fight to do a lot of damage at the start of the fight. Unfortunately I didn't have the second egg to finish him off straight away, so I did have to do the rest of this fight with my remaining weapons and ammo. But the fight wasn't too bad, to be honest, because I just stayed behind this pillar here, and the room was full of barrels, which also gave me more shotgun ammo, which was great. So I just carried on fighting him, using this pillar for cover whenever he attacked, and as soon as he opened his mouth, I would unload him with whatever ammo I had remaining in whatever guns I had left to use, and the fight was going really well until this point here, where my controller ran out of battery, and after scrambling across the room to find my other controller and reconnecting it, I forgot where I was and unfortunately took a hit. But Sadler at this point was pretty much done for, and 1 or 2 more shots and he was gone, and I'd done it. My word, what a relief. At this point I was 10.5 long hours into my pro difficulty run, and I'd reached the island, which was the final section of the game, and here things were starting to finally look up and look like I could beat this difficulty. Money was no longer an object. I hadn't used the rocket launcher I brought in the castle on the Sadler boss fight, so I had a spare rocket launcher going into the island, and I knew that at the end of the game I could sell all of my weapons to buy another rocket launcher to defeat the final boss easier. So now it was just a case of spending all my money on upgrading my pistol and shotgun to make them more powerful to deal with the enemies in between me and the end of the game. I was even bypassing more enemies by just running past them to get to the save point and then backtracking towards them and stealth killing them all so that I could then loot that area of all the supplies and get a crown to put even more gems in and get even more money. It was great. And it's an odd one because professional mode is a tough difficulty, but it's also one that becomes a lot easier the further you get into the game and the more you play it, because, well, you've got more weapons at this point. You've hopefully upgraded those weapons to make them more powerful. You've got more money, so you can just freely buy health and rocket launchers without worrying, and you can also spend all your treasures on upgrades as well, and you've found more ammo and stuff as you've gone along. So the more you play it, the easier this mode becomes, because Village at the start is definitely the hardest part of this mode, and even this Krauser boss fight with my extra rocket launcher was just a piece of piss. I mean, look at this now. Yeah, despite me stupidly firing the rocket launcher point blank at him, I didn't actually die, though I did lose a bit of health. I survived, and well, that was the end of him, and the end of that chapter, allowing me to get one step closer to the end of the game, and my hand cannon reward. Though I still had the matter of this area to get through, so my tactic with this one was always to just run in, get the left switch first, and then run and get the right switch to open the gate. But on professional difficulty, this would be a bit more problematic, but I did have a lot of supplies with me, and I had been conscious enough to create and craft a lot of flashbangs as I went along, because I planned to just run past most enemies and constantly stun them with flashbangs in order to get the 2 switches and get the hell out of there. So after using the little bit of a cheat on that turret and just blowing it up with a grenade, I then just ran through everything as quick as I could, getting my shotgun out, which had been upgraded at this point, to just deal with anything directly in my path. And I knew I had to get that turret guy, so I threw a grenade at him to stop him from shooting me, and I got that first left switch. Now I just had to get the flashbangs on the go and start using them to get past the enemies. The toughest bit was jumping off of that turret bit there, because I would always end up going onto the turret whenever I press the button, so you got to be careful there. But then you can see I just blast my way through, chucking flashbangs whenever it gets a bit too hairy, and then getting that next switch. Now I knew I had to throw more flashbangs to avoid the bigger enemies with the machine guns that would just rip me to shreds. And even though I almost sort of died there, throwing a flashbang really helped, and it allowed me to just escape that area relatively hassle-free and keeping all my ammo for the next few fights. That was just amazing, because that was a really problematic area if you try and just shoot your way through. So just run your way through that. That's what worked for me. And the next couple of big areas that have a lot of enemies in, I just rushed through them as well. This one here, again, you have to move a turret, but I just ran through, even just setting off the laser traps myself, because I knew I had so much resource and I was right at the end of the game. So I just barged through into that room, moved the turret, and then just ran out again, and then ran out of the building, and then up the stairs, just healing when I needed to, and just keep on running. And I ran into the sanctuary bit without any of them enemies really sort of doing anything to me. and now I'm pretty much at the end of the game on the home stretch. And though I did shit myself there when I saw him standing there because I didn't want to get killed, but yeah, I'm at the end now. I've done the hard part. All I had left to do now really was just save Ashley to complete that chapter, and then in chapter 16 there wasn't really much left in this chapter because it's just so basic. You go through the sort of cave sort of area, you kill about 3 of these moth fly things, and then you get to the merchant, and well, as soon as I've got to the merchant just before the final boss, the game is over now because, well, you'll see soon, because when I get to the merchant I'm just going to sell everything I have to be able to have enough money to be able to buy the rocket launcher again, because you can only buy the rocket launcher once per area, village, castle and island. And if you remember from earlier, I brought a rocket launcher in the castle that I didn't use, so I had 2 in the island. So with this rocket launcher, me and Ashley could now go to the end of the game, and while I would leave her behind here for the boss fight, she wouldn't have to wait long because, well, look at how quickly this is disposed of. So he jumps down, I fire the rocket launcher, and that first wave is just completely obliterated. And after skipping the cutscenes, I then have to fight the final bit of the boss, just shooting the eye and dodging the tentacle attacks, just while I'm waiting for Ada to eventually throw me another rocket launcher so I can quickly finish off the final boss. And with that rocket launcher now in my hand, as soon as I figured out where I was and where the boss was, I just fired it into his glowing eye, and that was it. The final boss made absolutely easy, even on professional difficulty, and now all that was left to do was just get out of the facility before it blew up, because every Resident Evil game has the facility to blow up at the end, it's just a fact. And here I was just checking all my stats to make sure nothing had gone wrong, and then it's just a case of quickly running out within those 2 minutes, jumping on a jet ski, making sure you don't crash, but again, there's a save typewriter there, so even if you do fail, you've just got to go back to that, and then just getting out on the jet ski and completing the game. And this was just such a great feeling. Professional difficulty was finally over. All of that blood, sweat and tears, especially at the beginning of the game, to have the end part of the game just be so easy does feel really cheap and rather bullshit. But yeah, 14.5 hours almost, 200 saves later, I had finally beaten professional mode with a B rank, and I had finally gotten that hand cannon weapon which I had so long been sought after. It was great. I would now be able to get the gun FANATIC trophy, so all I had to do now was go into the extra content shop, purchase the gun, and weirdly the trophy didn't pop there, so I then reloaded my save at the end of the game by the merchant's shop, and as soon as I went to the typewriter and moved the weapon into my storage, my inventory, the trophy popped and I got it, and yeah, it was a really good feeling. And yeah, despite the horrors of this mode at the start and the struggles in the castle as well, it still felt really good, because every time I overcome one of those obstacles, it felt really satisfying, and it really did add to the horror sort of tension, because every fight was a scary fight to have to go and do. So there you go, after all of that, I'd finally beaten professional mode difficulty in Resident Evil 4 Remake, and with it I unlocked the hand cannon weapon, which was the final gun I needed for the gun FANATIC trophy. And you know what? Even though this mode was absolutely bullshit at times, and it was really hard and really frustrating, especially with the RNG of the game just not giving me any fucking help through this, I still really enjoyed it, because every time I got past a tough section, it was really satisfying to overcome that obstacle, and it felt really good. The further I got and the more powerful I became, it felt really satisfying. And early on, especially in the village section, it really helped, this difficulty did, to ramp up that horror aspect, because I was dreading every encounter that I went through, and those ones like the village fight, my heart was racing. I was really on the edge of my seat when I was doing it, and it was only because of this mode and just the fact that it was really tough, and it was a fun challenge to go through, even though it did feel bullshit. And well, I have to say, at one point, once I got to the island, I didn't show it in the video at that point, but once I got to the island, I went back to play the game the next day, and the game had actually been updated, which is what we're going to see now. with the Mercenaries mode, which allows you to actually earn the hand cannon weapon via playing that mode and getting an S rank in all of the missions. But I just want to show you that I didn't actually do it the easy way. I have actually done it the hard way. So here we go. The weapon is purchased, the hand cannon here. And if we go back and we look in the Mercenaries, and I'm talking over this footage as well, so you can see that it's live. I've only played one of the levels on Mercenaries. I got an A rank, but if you got an S rank on all 3 of those with any character, you would get the hand cannon. So yeah, while there's now an easier, cheaper way of getting this trophy, I would definitely recommend you go for it via the professional mode. It is very frustrating, but it feels really good to beat it. So yeah, despite hating it and loving it in sort of equal parts and really getting annoyed at certain points, I feel that this is a cool experience to do, and I'm glad I did it. Even if I just waited another week before starting it, I would have just been able to get it easier and faster with this Mercenaries mode. I'm still glad I did it that way. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this longer video. I guess all that's left to do is give the Gun Fanatic a bullshit trophy rating of...
What an asshole. Oh, you're such an asshole. What? Is that it?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
You gotta be kidding me. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I practically had it.